I think we're about to break Resin Art YouTube. I don't know. So many of you know I love to experiment with resin. We've come up with some absolutely crazy techniques from doing so. But this one kind of blows all of those out of the park, I think. So I was playing around with a completely separate idea, and this just happened from nowhere. But before I start the video, I missed one small thing that I said I was going to try. But I have tried it since and it does work. You just need to play around with the measurements. I think this is mind-blowing. Right, anyway, on to the video. Right, we are back. As mentioned there, this came about really by chance. Now, also, again, I've never used dipping resin before. I don't know how it's made, but this just absolutely blew my mind. And if you ever bought anything on Amazon and not checked the size, this is gonna last me so long, and you'll see exactly why. But I also have a normal Elmer's school glue as well, and we'll try that and see if that works as well. So I am using the Lech resin clear hard type. This is a low viscosity UV resin. If you're going to try this, experiment in small amounts. As I always say, don't go jumping in. This is still experimental stage. There's a lot that's going to be kind of tweaked and changed moving forward. But let me just show you something. Let me first of all show you the consistency of this UV resin. It's not very stringy at all. Now, I've not even opened a pot of dipping resin before, so I don't know how it works. But what I did try from the previous experiment that I've kind of just left alone, but I will go back to that one and probably start from scratch. I've just got some wire here. Just some round copper wire from my scraps. Now if I dip that in my plain UV resin, okay, I'm gonna get what we normally get from a dipping resin. But when I put this under my light, what happens is as it's drying, it tears away. Watch, see that? Now I've tried this several times. You may have done this and got it to work, but every single time I try it with normal resin, as the resin begins to heat, it pulls away and creates that tear. Now I could be persistent and dip it again and just keep dipping it until hopefully that problem is resolved. But watch this. If I take my dotting tool here and just literally just touch the glue surface. I mean, you can't, let me get my focus right. You can't even see it. It is that small. Watch what happens. This blew me away. I just stir that in really slowly. Look at the change. Just that tiny amount is beginning to create almost a consistency of a dipping glue, which absolutely blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. Look at that. Complete change with such a tiny amount. And you can understand just how much of a fluke this was. Experimenting sometimes pays off. So I now take my thicker resin, take another piece of wire and submerge that. Might take a couple of attempts to get the, there it is. Pop that under my UV light. Take you down. This will not burst, and it gives a crystal clear finish. Absolutely mind-blowing. Again, I haven't seen anyone do this. I mean, it's not my kind of thing, dipping resin, but it could be now. Look at that glaze. It's almost glass-like. It's amazing. And there it is, in all its glory. Absolutely incredible. What I want to see is if we can bend it with, or manipulate it with the film inside. Is it going to break or is it going to hold? See, I've just added a curve onto there and it's still holding really, really well. So now you're probably thinking, what about colour? So what we could do, I mean, it's entirely up to you what you do with this. They sell on Amazon. I'll try and pop some in the description. I haven't got any at hand, but they're like little pots, black pots that the UV can't, the daylight can't penetrate. So you could store this away and use it whenever you want to use it without the worry of it curing. So you could keep it clear and then mix up a coloured UV resin and just top coat it. That's entirely up to you. But what I want to experiment with now and take it a little bit further and see if it works is, can we now colour this? So my first test is going to be this crimson mica powder from the Let's Resin 36 mica set. Now I don't know if this is going to work or how much to put in. Again, we are still in experimental stages with this. Just going to thoroughly mix that in. As always, a massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, and to any new subs. Thank you very, very much. It's not a very intense colour, but we're going to see if it works. Again, it's not very intense. Will it hold up against the light? It's very, very thin. What I'm worried about is that the mica powder is going to form kind of like a barrier and prevent the resin particles from bonding properly. But it's actually working. it's not popping. So what I could then do to intensify the colour is double dip. I mean, there it is after the first dip. And there it is after the second dip. Really shiny, really colourful. This is absolutely amazing. And again, just to show you, you know, just how easy this is. So that is normal. Again, we have the tiniest, it is just minute into our resin. And it's almost instant thickening. Look at that, it almost clots the resin. So this time I'm just using a red pigment paste. My label is peeling off. Now this is really concentrated stuff, and I don't think brand's gonna matter. Come on. Just a tiny amount, I think, to begin with, and just see how intense the colour is. The trouble is we don't want too much that it's going to prevent the UV resin from curing through. But look at that. If anything, that has actually intensified that resin, as in it's a lot thicker now than what it was a moment ago. So I think that pigment paste has actually aided this even better, which I didn't know would happen. So let's see how the pigment paste holds up under the lamp. Well, it hasn't popped yet. I've just turned it over. No problem at all. And that was after a second dip. So what I have just noticed is it could be oxygen inhibition. You can see that it's a little bit tacky. So what I'm going to do is give that longer under my light just to see what happens. But you could also water cure it as well. We've done that before, and that will stop the oxygen inhibition. Yeah, so extra time under my lamp definitely helped that. So there we have the mica versus the pigment paste. What I'm going to do now, I do prefer the mica version. I'm going to try and make something. This is totally not my thing. I don't know what I'm doing here. So all I've done is a 6 or 7 inch piece of wire. I'm just bending the tip and then crinking each side and then bringing it in to create this kind of almost like a diamond shape, and then just twisting the wires all the way down. And for the mica, I've just gone with a purple from that same set, just to show you again just how easy this is. Got some bubbles in there, but I don't care. We're just playing around. Excuse the state of my craft mat. I've not cleaned it. I've been too busy experimenting. If you don't do this for long enough and you go in for, say, a second dip, you're at risk of breaking the film. So just bear that in mind. Give it a full minute, I'd say, on both sides. You might not need to do both sides, but yeah, just make sure it's strong enough. And then as I'm going, I'm just putting them into a small mixing cup of water under the lamp, so they're kind of, it's attacking the stickiness whilst I'm working on the next one. So now I've just mixed up some green and I've made some tiny leaves. I probably should have left a bit more length on the end of the wires, but I've never done it before. Kind of making this up as I go along. So you may remember from #185 where I made these pearls in a different video. Now what I've got is I've got a slightly wider piece of wire, so I'm going to drill a hole in the middle of one of these to make a kind of a flower head. So I'm just going to drill into the middle carefully and then UV glue the wire into the pearl, and hopefully it will make a good flower head. Messy. Okay, absolutely no stickiness whatsoever. So the water cure definitely helps. These are perfect. So now comes the assembly. I really don't know what I'm doing. I think it's just a case of, I don't know, where's my pearl? There it is, it's right in front of me, blended in. So I think it's just going to be a case of positioning the petals around the way that I kind of want it to go. I don't know, there's only 4, and then kind of twist them into place. I don't know how I'm going to attach that one yet. I think I'm just going to kind of have to just do this maybe off camera, but I mean there's going to be plenty more of this to come. That wouldn't be very nice if I did it off camera, would it? So I basically took one of the petals and wrapped it around that pearl kind of wire. So I'm now just going to repeat the same thing. Just take one of my petals and wrap it around what I've already done. So you can see there, and I can kind of still move around that. Oh no, it's fallen off. I think super glue might be better for that. Okay, I'm pretty impressed. The wire, it's been a long day already. I need to work on that. But I'm really impressed with how this has turned out from yet again another crazy and epic experiment. Again, it needs some work. As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you haven't subbed, hit that button. It is absolutely free. But incredible what just one tiny bit of an ingredient can completely change resin art forever. I mean, there's going to be, I've got so much more up my sleeve with experiments and stuff like that. So, you know, make sure you've hit that sub button. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.